Good day to everyone. My name is S Mathew, Professor in the Department of Computer Science, Rajagiri School of Engineering and Technology. Today, I am going to discuss one of the topics in Module 6 of course CS308, Software Engineering and Project Management. Computer-aided software engineering tools, case tools. These are the subtopics we are going to discuss during this session. What's a case tool? Contribution of case tools to software development, advantages of using case tools, disadvantages of using case tools, and references. What is a case tool? Computer-aided software engineering tools are computerized software development tools that support the developer when performing one or more phases of the software lifecycle and/or support or software maintenance projects. So it's a set of computerized software tools that the developers or the project team use for performing various activities in different phases of a software project. So case tools in general support the following software engineering processes. So these are the different activities which can be automated using case tools. Translation of user needs into software requirements. So there are tools which will help you to visualize the requirements and translate the requirement to a structured way. Transformation of software requirements into design specifications. Similarly, you can also use tools to convert the requirements into design specifications. Then implementation of design into code. There are tools for code generation. Once you have the design, structured design in place, that design can be automatically converted into a code template using code generators. Code review or static analysis of code. The syntax errors and the logical errors or static analysis of code review can be done automatically using some of the tools. Normally the code review can be done manually as well as in an automated way. Some of the errors or the bugs can be detected only by manual way of reviewing the code, but there are certain errors which can be automatically detected using case tools. Testing of the code for the operational use. Testing can also be automated using case tools. There are a lot of testing tools available which will help the team to automate the testing process instead of doing the complete testing manually. And documentation work can also be automated using some of the tools available. So these are the different areas where we can apply case tools. So as per the above definition of case tools, so a case tool, as per the definition, it is an automated tool, software tool, which can be used by the development team for performing various activities in the project in different phases of the project. So if you consider the tool based on that definition, even the compilers, interactive debugging tools, configuration management tools, testing software, all this can be treated as case tools. Even the compilers can be treated as case tools because compilers are used by the development team to compile the code. Configuration management tools are used, debugging tools are used. So these are also the tools which helps the development team to do various activities of software project. That way, these are also case tools, and this traditional set of tools like compilers are referred as classic case tools. But there are new generation of case tools which support the activities like requirement analysis, design, coding, re-engineering. So there are tools which supports analysis and design, coding and re-engineering, which are not the traditional compilers will not do. So this type of tools, the new generation tools, are called real case tools. So here we will be focusing more on the real case tools, which helps the developers in doing some of the non-traditional activities of software development. The real case tool can further be classified into different case tools. There are uppercase tools. One classification is called as uppercase tools that support the analysis and design phases like Rational Software Architect, UML tools like Start UML, Argo UML, wireframing tools like Balsamic. All these are coming under uppercase tools, which helps the team or the developer in doing the software analysis and design phase activities of software requirement analysis and design. Those are called uppercase tools. Then there are tools which support the developer in coding and testing, which are called lowercase tools that support the coding phase, like IDEs. There are a lot of IDEs, .NET IDE, Java, Eclipse. So these are some of the tools which helps the programmer to do the coding. Code generators, there are automatic code generators that support the development team to generate the code automatically once you have the structured design using rational rows or some other design uppercase tool. Code review can be automated using static analyzers like SonarQube, which can be used for detecting the common errors in the program. Testing tools like Rational Robo, and there are a lot of many other testing tools which can be used for automating the testing process or testing activity, which will improve the productivity of testers or reduce the duration for the testing. Then there are integrated case tools that support all these activities like analysis, design, coding phases, as well as the project management activities, all put together. Integrated case tools are also available. Then there are reverse engineering tools which will help to build the software models designed from code. Suppose there is you have an old system developed, what is that? You have a old system which is done in COBOL, for example, COBOL, and for which you don't have design documentation. So in order to do some modification for that program or code, you need to understand the program so that you can modify the program, but you don't have the documentation or design documentation available for that. So reverse engineering tools will help you to generate the design from the code. So it will take the code as the input and generate the models, design models for you, and then you can understand the design and then do the maintenance or modify that program. Two important features of case tools are a repository. There will be a repository for most of the case tools. There will be a repository or database within the case tool itself. It stores all these artifacts like analysis, design documents, all that can be saved in the repository which is built in the case tools. And this repository can be used as input for subsequent phases of the project. For example, it generates the models and stores in the repository, and which can be used as the input for code generation, input for the code generation. Some lowercase and integrated case tools can automatically generate code based entirely on the design information stored in the repository. You have two tools, for example, one for the code generation and one for the modeling. Two different tools which are not integrated, for example, and there's a repository for the analysis tool, so it stores all the models in the repository, and which will become input for the code generator, right? So if the repository, these models are using the standard conventions which can be assessed by the code generator, this repository can be assessed to get the models from which the code can be generated by the code generators. Documentations, and also all the case tools will provide some documentation of the work done by that tool. So it will generate the documentation of the design models like class diagram, sequence diagram, all this can be generated automatically from the analysis and design case tools. So it will also generate documentation of the respective activity models done by that particular tool. So it has a repository as well as a feature to generate the documentation. So these are the different type of case tools available in the software industry for automating various activities of software development projects in different phases. So there are a lot of tools which will help in editing and diagramming tools. like MS Word, MS Visio, Paint, Quick UML, RoboChart. All these are diagramming tools which will also help the development team for diagramming. Automated documentation, as we said, there are documentation feature available in our case tool which can be used for automating your documentation, like generating SRS, generating the design document. All this can be automated using those feature of documentation available in case tools. Design support, rational rows is rational software architect, RSA, Argo UML, Star UML. There are a lot of tools which supports UML, which can be used for designing or modeling your software. Code editing, IDEs, MS Visual Studio, NetBeans, Eclipse. All these can be used for your developing your code, compiling, debugging. All this can be used, can be done using your IDEs. Code generation, there are tools which will help in generating the code from the models, like rational rows, rational software architect. All this can be used for generating the code. You need to just specify the language in which you need to have the code. It will convert the model to the code skeleton using the appropriate selected language. Configuration management tools like VSS, Visual Source Safe, concurrent version system, SCN, subversion, Git. All these are type of tools. Software testing tools like bounce checker, true time, true coverage, WinRunner, Lone Runner. All these automated tools can be used for software testing. Reverse engineering tools, so you can convert the code to models using reverse engineering tools like Logiscope, Code Logic. Project management and software metrics tools like MS Project, Primavera, Jira, Confluence, HP Project, Portfolio Management Center, Juggler, Autoplan, Smart Cost. There are a lot of tools which support project management as well as quality activities. So what are the advantages of using case tools? Reduction in development effort, project budget, and development time. Reduction in logical design errors. When you automate some of the activities, it will reduce the errors in the design. Similarly, when you generate the code using automated tools, it will also avoid common syntax errors, and all will be avoided automatically by the code generator, which is because it is a tested and proven software. So coding errors can be reduced. Documentation, when you use automated tools for generating documentation like SRS and design documentation errors can also be reduced. Reduction in testing effort, when you use automated testing, effort in testing can be reduced, time taken in testing can be reduced. Reduction in human errors in version control and software releases by means of SCM tools. Software configuration management tools will help in reducing manual errors in version control and change management. Reduction in deliberate deviation from the software requirements. So when you use automation for converting the requirements to analysis and models, it will avoid deviation from the original requirements to the design. So when you do everything manually, there is a possibility that you may deviate from the original requirements. But when you automate all this process, there will be consistency between the input and the output, and the deviation will be minimized, will not be there at all. Compliance with coding and documentation standards. The code generators and documentation tools will follow the standards which is set inside the tool automatically. So once a rule is set inside the coding generator as well as the documentation tool, it will always follow that rule and generate the code as well as the documentation in the specified standard. So it will follow the standard always. Cross-reference repository queries enable better planning of changes and additions. So whenever you have a repository which stores various artifacts, and when you make any change in one of the artifacts, all related artifacts will be automatically changed. So the inconsistency between the documents and artifacts can be reduced by using case tools. Improve traceability and consistency of work product, again related to the same feature like repository. When the artifacts are related with each other, you will be able to easily trace the related documents, as well as when you make any change in one of the documents, it will automatically make the corresponding change in the related documents as well. Enhances or reuse of models and model components. So you can reuse these models available in the repository for another project if required. Helps in communication between development team and members. So everything is available in the repository, which will help in communicating with all the team members in the team. So there are some disadvantages in using case tools. One is the cost. So most of these tools are very costly. For example, Rational Software Architects is a very costly tool, but very effective, very good tool, but it costs a lot. So the small companies and medium companies may not be able to afford the license of these tools. That is one of the problem with these tools. Learning curve in understanding the proper use of tool. Also, you need to train your employees or team members to use these tools properly, to make use of the features of these tools effectively and the full extent. Many organizations, many people use these tools, but not to the fullest extent, because they are not aware of the features, the complete features of this tool. So the training is very much required. When you plan to implement these tools in your organization, you need to train your employees on the proper use of these tools and full use of this tool. Selection of right tool mix. There are a lot of tools, many tools are available. So it is also very important to choose the right tool for your team, right tool for your project. So depending on the nature of the projects the organizations and the team do, and you need to choose the tools appropriate for the environment of your company or the project environment, type of the project, nature of the project. So you have to choose the appropriate tool for your team. So choosing any tool will not be effective or efficient, will not be suitable for your team. So choice of the right tool is also very important. Limitation and flexibility of documentation. And documentation available in many of the tools is, there are limitations in documentation. So in some cases you may have to have some customization. You may generate the base documentation, then work on that manually to make it more comprehensive. Completeness and syntactic correctness of design and code does not mean compliance with requirements. So when you use case tools, it will comply with the rules and syntax will be all correct, but it doesn't mean that it will always comply with the requirements. It will comply with the requirements provided the input you give is correct. So the correctness of the models generated by the tools depends on the correctness of the input you give for generating that model. If your input on the requirements are not right, the models will not be right also. So correctness of the model does not mean that the requirements will also comply with the requirements. So complying with the requirements depends on the correctness of the input you give to the tool. So references used for preparing these slides is Daniel Galin, Software Quality Assurance from Theory to Implementation, Pearson edition 2009. Thank you very much. I will come back with another topic on user interface design on Module 6. Thank you.